my point was that we, even after Sagana, we have to persuade people. It's important that the approach that is given is more persuasion than anything else. And that way, we encourage cohesion in the country. We live by the BBI itself, Building of Bridges Initiative. Mm-hmm. And by persuasion, we bring out the dignity of the people, the respect to their opinions, the respect to their freedoms and liberties. That way, I think as a country, we will be feeding our democracy so that it can grow, and so that today and also tomorrow we can have a better country. I imagine a situation where we have a rogue politician who takes up government at some point, and they find that this is what we have been practicing, whereby we are not being tolerant to each other. I tell you, that can be very disastrous to our country. And so we need to persuade more than anything else. And that is my conviction. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes when we talk like this, you hear some people writing you messages telling you, why are you fighting BBI? And I ask them, by saying that we need to be tolerant to everyone's opinion, how then does that become fighting? And that is part of the intolerance that we are finding in some of the people. And at the same time also, sometimes you also find even those who oppose the document get very tolerant with those people who have very positive remarks about the document. And I think that tolerance for us as a country is going to be so important. And if we let that fly off, yet it's something that we have been working on for so many years now. All right. If we allow this one to fly off, I tell you, as a country, we will regret, and we will be wishing that we were in the previous years. Mm-hmm. So let's all make a better future for our country.
One thing to note there, well, in as much as Mheshimiwa has spoken about very important things, trying as much as possible to be diplomatic in his approach on this, while Barack, on the other hand, has come out, bare knuckles, saying that this should be castigated in a way. One, there's this tendency of when you are trying to have a diplomatic approach, it appears as though you are against the document. And also, I'd love for you to tell us, what is the rush after all? I mean, can't it wait? Can't we approach it in this way of diplomacy? Can't we just have a moment of conversation? I mean, as opposed to saying that, well, we understand that this is, dynamic in nature, and so in that way, we can decide any other time to change the constitution or have these conversations, in a different platform, in a different angle, with a different document altogether.
Thank you, Linda. First of all, Honorable Kagushia is a speaker, and
he has
in his daily work, he doesn't want to go on record on Hansard that he said something because he is the referee. So I understand him. But constitutional amendment process, as I said, are political. You must really make a decision if you are for the document or against the document. And that is democracy. And I want to agree with the senior here. We should also not view those who oppose as enemies. I'm glad the Deputy President said that after this BBI, he will make friends with the President because they only differ on certain aspects. That is democracy too. Now, this process, like any other initiative, even Punguza Mzigo, it started by way of general propositions. Kenyans have an opportunity or had an opportunity then to present their views. Those who want to present their views, they were invited, they did so. Now, we are at a stage where those views have been formulated into a bill in accordance with the provision of Article 257. The bill has undergone certain levels of public participation, as I said earlier. This bill has been, there have been misconceptions about it. People have been spreading propaganda. And anyone who has read this bill will agree with you. And even in the issues of independence of the judiciary, when people say the judiciary is now being interfered with, but if you look at the creation of the office of ombudsman, it currently exists. the occupant is a nominee of CJ, but it has got no structure of vetting, you know. Today, the bill says that nominee shall be vetted by the Senate. You know, currently the CJ and the DCJ are all appointees of the president. Have we seen in the interference? And if we have seen, why are we not correcting it? You know, so we cannot lie. And even this ombudsman, we are also saying that if you read that bill, it says that the ombudsman, the judiciary ombudsman, shall not interfere with any matter that is before a court of law or a tribunal, shall not reopen any judgment by a judge or a tribunal. They will not, because their job is the link between the public and the judiciary, and therefore shall receive complaints and act on them on behalf of the public, complaint against the judges and any other judicial officer. It is actually strengthening the judiciary. Number two, if you look at the issue of vetting that seniors talked about, most of the vettings that we have also seen in Parliament are below par, because they go into Parliament and then they're just approved. We saw the other time when the president was embarrassed when one of the parastatal chiefs who had been arraigned in court previously, his name was forwarded before a vetting committee in Parliament. It was very embarrassing. But today, we still have the NIS, National Intelligence Service, that are doing thorough vetting on everyone, including state and public officers. So, if you look at the bill again, the National Intelligence Act, it has been enhanced to ensure that they expand the vetting scope. That is there. So people don't read this bill. They pick on. And when senior says that, you know, this bill is a sugar-coated poison, me, I would say this bill is the sugar honey. Because if you read it keenly, you realize that it is actually helping in the implementation of the current constitution that has got difficulties in implementing some of the principles. And I'll give you one. The principle of 2/3 gender, Duale 1 to Duale 6. This constitutional amendment is going to implement it at a go. The principle of equality of vote as a result of, you know, aspiration of fair representation, it is going to be implemented by this. The principle that protects members of parliament when they fail to approve the most audited accounts as submitted to them by the Auditor General in dividing revenue, where we have seen counties losing revenue. Today, the amendment in Article 203 says that the submitted most recent accounts by Auditor General can now be used in dividing revenue on that basis, even if they have not been approved by Parliament, because we have seen backlog in Parliament, National Assembly particularly, when approving these audit reports. Lastly, we have also said that the constitutional amendment is a choice. The people that are today appear to be opposed to this document, in the last referendum, they opposed it. And today they are the greatest beneficiaries. And I can also assure you, Linda, and when God gives our life, we'll live to tell this story. When BBI passes, the greatest opposers today will be the greatest beneficiaries, particularly when you are going to 2022 election, because it gives most of the senior politicians a platform that they can now try and play around with numbers and see how do we ensure that in my team it reflects the regional diversity of the people of Kenya, so that they move forward and be looked as a formation that is nationalistic. Now, I personally, I believe we might not agree with everything. And remember, when we did Punguza Mzigo, we had 15 issues that were pushing. Out of these 15 issues, most of them were issues to do with socioeconomic burden and political burden. In one way or another, those burdens that we are pushing to be lowered have been accommodated here. And the same people that endorsed Punguza Mzigo are Kenyans. They are the same people that today are endorsing this bill. I would want to see a situation where what we started as a party that will lower the burden that is borne by the majority of taxpayers comes to fruition. Because we agree. We are saying, why can't we wait? The reason why Kenyans cannot wait, you cannot wait any longer for this country to lose a third of its budget to corruption. Today, the amendment to legislation on leadership and integrity, Article 80, says that now we shall expeditiously look at these issues through a framework. Any matter relating to corruption, you cannot wait any longer, Linda, to see our women not getting involved in appointive and elected position. We must do that now. We cannot wait any longer to see our women in the wards walk 8,000 kilometers in search for water, food, and healthcare. Today, we are taking resources closer to them at their doorstep so that we fix this issue of economic and social rights. That is why we cannot wait. You have also asked, at a time when economy is bad, let me tell you, it's not that economy is bad.
Make it brief, yes.
This country is a very rich country. Very rich country. Today, the fuel prices have gone up. Give it just 1 hour once they effect that. Do you know how much we shall be collecting from 8 bob alone from all Kenyans? If 8 million Kenyans fuel today, do you know how much is it? Increment of 8 bob per person. That is over 64 million. So what are we talking about? We have, in 1 hour alone, we have a lot of money. What we lack in this country is measures that can protect the funds to the penny. And that's why we look at our amendments and say, wait, how do we lose revenue? We lose revenue through corruption. We lose revenue through mismanagement. We lose revenue through not having a political goodwill. Seal those loopholes. But if we don't agree in one way or another, as I expect, and that's why referendum is a popular vote, you go and take a vote, yes or no. You go and say no, and you go and say yes. And tomorrow we shake hands and say, it was nice doing business. Let's proceed to the next one.
All right. Well, I think I do not want to allow you to respond to this, but briefly, allow me to just break this news. Some unfortunate news coming our way this morning, and well, even as the country, we await to bury Simeon Nyachae, who's also very. Been celebrated as an incredible leader in the country. Unfortunately, we've also lost one this morning. Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji is dead. This is confirmed by his family. Haji, who most recently chaired the Building Bridges Initiative, that is the BBI task force, has been sick for a while, was flown to Turkey for treatment that is laced last year, but returned to the country recently. He has passed on at the Aga Khan Hospital this morning. More details coming your way later on as we keep Q up to speed as to what it is that my team will have gathered on ground. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Gentlemen, on that.
Yes, to enjoin myself and I believe ourselves with the family in mourning and to condole with them. And to pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace. He was a gentleman who approached issues with a level head. He belongs to a generation of leaders who are disappearing, people who could face the storms and remain very calm in the storms. We remember he served previously in provincial administration. He was a PC for quite some time in different parts of the country. And we noticed that he was missing in most of the BBI functions, including the presentation of the report to the president and presence in other places. And it is pole sana to the family.
Indeed.
May his soul rest in eternal peace.
All right, more updates coming your way in regards to that. Fred, unless you want to say something.
It's very unfortunate that this has happened. Senator Haji was one of the elders in this country that people were looking forward to. He had words of wisdom to his people. You could see even that at the time when there was problem at Bomas, he stood up and managed to bring the situation to calm. There's nothing much we can do. God giveth and he taketh. And we believe that the family will find peace. And we pray for the family. And as a country, I think we are mourning a great man who has served in different capacities in this country. He has been in the provincial administration for long. He became a senator. And he was actively serving before he started getting ill. And as Barack Senior says, he was missing for quite some time. You would see when the BBI process was at its last stages of launching, we could see him, and we were told, majority of Kenyans were asking, the media was reporting that he was on. I remember the last picture we saw of him on newspaper was when Raila Odinga and Junet Mohamed had gone to see him at his home when he was unwell. That is, I think, the last time I saw him on the pages of the newspaper. And then we heard that the son, the DPP, also was trying to take care of him.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. May his soul rest in peace.
Indeed. Gentlemen, allow me to cross over to a different story altogether. Or you want to say something, Honorable Kagusha?
Linda, you cannot give Okango 15 minutes
okay.
to give us
now
a
let's
lecture.
make this 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. I think 1 minute is fair enough for you to be able to respond to Okango.
That
Okay.
the 1 minute rule comes on board when Barack is being invited to speak. But anyway.
No, hold it right there. Let's allow Honorable Kagusha to say something small to the family and friends of Senator Haji.
Yes, indeed, I would like to condole with Senator Yusuf Haji. Senator Haji being, as Okango has said, being one of the elders that we have today in the political, we have had today in the political scene. Aged 80 years, he has really had strength and energy to serve as a senator, and even to have gone through a very rigorous campaign as an elder who was actually almost 80 years, now 80 years already. And Senator Haji is a person who have been able to manage the politics of northern Kenya and northeastern Kenya as well, because he comes from that part, and he has been one of the dependable politicians to most of the presidents that we have had in this country. And he was a Kanu stalwart. And then when President Kibaki came into power, he did give him the Minister for Defense in 2008. And as a president, you don't just give any other person that kind of advocate. And so it seems like he was a truly dependable person to His Excellency the President. And we even saw in 2012, the President again gave him the docket for internal security and provincial administration, although he held that position as an acting minister for a short while. That all tells you that he's a person who have been energetic, who have been dependable and loyal to the leadership of the country.
Right.
And, even when the president today, His Excellency Kenyatta, needed someone to drive his very, very close to the heart agenda, he could not pick on any other better person than Yusuf Haji. May his soul rest in peace. He's been a good politician in the country, and we pray for his family and really condole with his family.
Thank you. To you, Barack.
Okay. Good friend Fred raises very many things. And some of them he really need not flog so hard, because there are things upon which we are agreed.
Yes.
That there are all these good things. And there's no need to continue staying there. He should be addressing the issues upon which there is hostile contestation.
Right.
And helping to explain them clearly so that people are able to say, all right, we agree, let us go together. Or people to say that we don't quite agree, but we will give you the benefit of the doubt, let us carry on. There's a sense in which this thing is framed as the precursor to the 2022 presidential bid. And there are people who are extremely worried that if that is not the case, then they have no platform to campaign on for 2022. We are being told that it is a political process. It should be a political process that is also looking into the future, not a political process that is looking at 2022. Because once we lock in this thing and we start realizing that some of the things we were being told are coming to pass,
Right.
to hurt and to haunt us, it's going to require another referendum to be able to revisit them. So while this opportunity is still here, why is it so difficult for us to speak to one another?
Okay.
Someone is not even saying, throw away this thing to the dogs. We are just saying, why don't we speak to one another? Just give us an opportunity
Okay.
to put in a word edgewise. We even saw Bishop Oginde telling President Uhuru Kenyatta at the Sitam Valley Road Shrine, Mr. President, just open a little opportunity for us to say something. And this has got everything to do with the genesis of the process.
Yeah.
You have heard someone say that there were church leaders in this thing. Why didn't you tell them?
Yeah.
Those church leaders did not have the mandate of the church. The church was never asked to name a nominee to the BBI process. The Law Society of Kenya was never asked to name a representative to the BBI. These were the bodies of a few individuals,
Okay.
of two individuals. And there is a manner in which the whole thing convolutes itself. It has got the character of a popular initiative. It also has got the character of a state-driven initiative. It is a mangy dog kind of character. It lacks the character of pedigree. We are even seeing state funds being spent upon it. My good real brother Fred Okango talks about corruption. Have we not seen corruption in this process? That we are seeing MCAs being given an inducement of 2 million grant, and Lynn Mengich has made it very clear that the 2 million is just for this particular crop of MCAs, that
Okay.
it will not extend to future MCAs. Why? Why at this moment? And then we have even seen in Kakamega someone saying, and you will be given another 300,000 Kenya shillings. This good thing of ours, why are we using these kinds of inducements? And how can we talk about the fight against corruption
Right.
when we are making this thing roll on the wheels of corruption? We are hearing people talking about theft, which is a good thing. And there's a sense in which when people talk about theft in this country, they tend to point at a certain individual. In fact, we can just say,
we can mention the name.
we can just say they point
Yes.
at the deputy president.
Right.
They say he's a land thief. They say he has stolen I don't know which money. First, why don't they initiate the legal processes so that they can deal with him once and for all? And while they are doing that, can we be told how it is that some people own 500,000 hectares of land in this country?
Okay.
Where did they get the money to buy that land? Can we be told about the ivory and other gem smuggling from the national parks of this country and the people who have been involved with them? You see, the fact that your father may have stolen for you, or your mother may have stolen for you, or your auntie may have stolen for you, does not preclude the reality that you are handling and you are a beneficiary of stolen stuff.
Okay.
And therefore, when we deal with thieves, we must deal with the thieves. And there are many in this country, and we know them. We know where they are. Can we address that?
All right. Well, gentlemen, opening a Pandora's box.
To the wise is sufficient.
All right,
Those
as we leave it at that.
wise words of Senior Barak are sufficient.
And I'm glad that he notes that we know.
He's
Better make
allowed
it
his
30
however.
seconds. However, 30 seconds.
However.
I am glad that he notes that we know some of these individuals.
However, as people who know some of these thieves, and the Kenyans have said,
yes,
irrespective of your status, irrespective of political affiliation and persuasion, then we can still fix the problem of thievery or of theft. That is why we are saying,
yeah,
we even as we revisit the issues of theft that happened those days, Golden Bag, NYS 1, NYS 2, all the way, we must be cognizant of the fact that as a people, that is what is denying us opportunity. Young people, old people, everyone. Theft of public money is what denies us opportunity. We must deal with it because it is the cancer.
I agree.
All right, so you agree to that?
I agree. Yeah, if this is going to get us to go back to the ivory smugglers
Then so
of the 1970s and the 1980s, the gemstone smugglers, the land grabbers,
then so be it.
I agree. Let us pass the BBI like yesterday.
Fortunately or unfortunately. All right, sure you have officially having progressive conversations
to preparing the messages John the Baptist before the arrival of
All right, let's close that one as of now. It is a developing story. We keep watching on the same. Uhuru takes 2022 world to DP's footstep. I think that's technically what we've been discussing, and we expound some more on that. Motorists to pay more for petrol. I think this has started pinching on the gentlemen that we have on board, and across most of the Kenyans, something that has not been received so well. And yes, Valentine's commemoration as of yesterday, Kitui starts State House bid. And I think that is one of the key things that I had picked for a conversation, or for our conversation this morning. Honorable Kagusha, are sure bets in Kitui?
He's an elite that I doubt most of the Kenyans will be able to connect to. And he plays a great role in diplomacy now today across the globe, having been the Secretary General of UNACTAD. But then I'm not very sure that as Kenyans they will be able to connect so directly now to that part of what he has been doing. Because he will also be at pains to explain to many Kenyans how that has been helpful to this republic, how the policies that have been made, maybe through UNACTAD, have helped the country to have probably multilateral or even bilateral agreements, trade agreements with other countries across the globe. He'll be at pains to explain to many Kenyans how the country and even this region, the East African region, has benefited through his position in UNACTAD. And those are some of the challenges that I'm expecting he is likely to face. And having also been withdrawn from the ground and been in Geneva for so long, it's going to be a bit difficult also to connect again with the normal Kenyans, considering that a lot has been happening on the ground. So we really don't know whether he's also going to enjoy the backing of other senior political leaders in the country, such that some of them may drop their ambitions for him. We really don't understand that. If that doesn't also happen, then it also means that his is going to be another failed attempt into bringing seemingly a clean, good person into leadership of the country. I remember we had one Olekiyapi, who was seen to be one of the most effective PSs that we had in the education docket and also in the country.
Yeah.
And even after having been so seemingly clean, he did not have any impact in the country as a presidential candidate.
Okay.
And so I hope and believe that Bwana Kitui should have thought about this twice before he resigned, unless maybe then he has something else in terms of the support. Otherwise, as it stands now, I think 2022 is going to be about two horses. That is Raila Odinga and
DP Ruto.
DP Ruto.
Well,
I think it's going to be about the two of them. A donkey, and some of them may not even get to that point of being a donkey.
All right.
So, and that's where I place him.
All right, interesting ones. And he just resigned 6 months before, or so to speak. And so probably to him and to many, that's really not quite, a huge margin that would probably cost him hugely. And remember, these calls have been there even before he declared it. And so looking at the kind of exposure that he's had and, coming in as an elite and listening to some of the proposals that he fronts, Do you suppose then that indeed he's going to be the agent of change and he's likely to clinch this?
You know, I don't know why people keep saying elitists are not good in leadership.
Okay.
By the way, because you have influence over people, you are basically an elite. Whether you live in the slums and you are the person who has influence in terms of leadership, you are an elitist. So let us not go into that. But I think Dr. Muhisa Kitui is a politician. Remember, he was a member of parliament before.
Yeah.
Then he became a cabinet secretary. Then he got another job where he was the Secretary General of UNICTAD. I want to believe in his own rights, he has got something to offer. It might not be the usual Kenyan political face that we are used to, but we can remember him. For some of us who were there before, we can remember him. I'm sure Senior was there even before me, remembers him. I don't know what the people of Emmanuel are saying about their son who has now come back to vie. But I want to believe the Western Kenya are today proud again and say we have another one. Mudavadi, Weta.
This is not going to split the votes?
And now, I saw Elder Tuoli saying that for the last time, the Luya unity, again, our representative for Emmanuel, Senior Barak, will tell us. But you see, Linda, this issue of running, we also presented a candidate, remember?
Yeah.
And our candidate was one of the underdogs. But at some point, the underdogs are the people who changes the game, because this is a game we play.
Right.
They change the game. The underdog, our underdog, changed the game. You never know. Muhisa Kitui would be that underdog that's going to change this game.
When you're talking about our, who exactly are you referring to as a Third Alliance? That is
our former presidential candidate there.
Because you know our
former, our party presented.
Right.
But now, look at the extreme that we are looking at in this case. They do or die. I know Raila Odinga, I haven't heard him say he's going to run for president. I'm not sure if he's running, but he hasn't said. But I know for a fact, Dr. William Ruto, a very good friend of mine, has said he's running. And he has demonstrated why he needs to be there. Now, what we are waiting to see is who are these contestants? Because I've also seen Professor Kivuta Kibwana saying they're running. And what are they bringing? It is about what you are bringing on the table, and not just for you and your team, but for the people of Kenya that you intend to lead or you aspire to lead, because those are the people that are going to vote. One of the things that these presidential candidates, all of them must bring on the table, all of them must, if we were to vote them, is they need to lower the economic burden. They need to fix this economy. They need to stop theft of public money. They need to ensure that women and young people are included in the economic space, political space, and social space, because that is their right. And then they need to ensure that this country is inclusive and peaceful. If you are a presidential candidate that you are not bringing any of that, then you can go and sell mandazi.
You know,
because it's not possible.
If you listened to him, he articulates some of these issues, actually a majority of these issues, so well so that it would get you convinced. And in most cases, that is what we witness, even with the manifestos that we are always presented with. Very beautiful manifestos, but eventually such is not the case. One, how does he sell himself as a national outfit? And importantly, could we look at some of these issues that he speaks about and say that indeed he has good plans for the country, plans that he's likely to implement?
I listened to Dr. Muhisa Kitui last evening on TV, and I have listened to him many times before. And I started listening to him when I was a young man at the University of Nairobi in the 1970s. I can confirm I saw him there. He has always been very clear, very focused, and he just gets better with each passing day. He's like wine. He just mellows with each passing day, in fact, with each passing moment.
So this is better in speech or better
in focus. You must have a vision. You must know where you want to take the country. And you are not going to be doing it alone. You surely are going to have people who are like-minded, who are going to work with you, who are going to be in the right places at the right time for the right reason. doing the right things for the right ends. I heard him talk about management of the national debt. I heard him talk about borrowing within that context. I heard him talk about how to rejig the economy. I heard him talk about how to deal with corruption. And my good friend Fred Okango here has got that as one of his pet topics and subjects. And I also agree that when you talk about the elite, you have to be very careful what you are saying. Professor Nick Wanjohi, when I was a first year student at the University of Nairobi in 1979, told us that even the village witch doctor is an elite. And for a long time we had a debate on that, and eventually he convinced us. But even the person we call the Kuru in the village is an elite because he exercises influence. We here, seated here, we are part of the elite.
Correct.
Because we are influencing people. People are listening to us and they are following the things that we say. Uhuru Kenyatta is an elite. William Ruto is an elite. All these people who are on the stamps asking for votes who want to be president are members of the Kenyan elite club. So here is someone who says, I have come. I am offering myself. And I think that without a doubt, he is certainly one of the best. If we were looking for the qualities of leadership as a country. And that is where the challenges that Speaker Kagushia is talking about come on board. What do we place on the weighing scales of leadership when we are looking for a leader? His first challenge is that he must go back to Emmanuel and convince,
speak to his people, he says
convince our people that he has not come to spoil for anybody. Already there are people who are saying, oh, one more spoiler. And I haven't even declared my own presidential intents as yet. And when I do, they'll say, oh, now
spoiler number 4.
Spoiler number 4. So we must remember that in central Kenya here, for example, they have, if we consider that they are the ones who fielded, although I don't want to look at it in that parochial sense, but for purposes of conversation, they have fielded several presidential candidates at once.
At once, yes.
At one point, there was Kibaki this side, there was Matiba on that side. And they said, oh, Kibaki has come to spoil for Matiba. I don't know how true that was. Then there was a time when there was Kibaki, and there was Uhuru, and there were also contestants from other tribes. That did not stop Kibaki from winning. Then there was a time when there was Kibaki, there was Karua, there was Mwite, there was Mwiru, and there were other people whose names we can't even remember and which perhaps don't even need to be remembered. But Uhuru Kenyatta beat them all. And that has gone on and on repeatedly. It's up to the people of Kenya. The biggest challenge...
let's not run to the people of Kenya. Let's focus first on the people of Mulembe. They are not known for, that thing that you'd say, they can easily say that this is the person. In as much as we have 50 of us around, in most cases, they have been considered to be people who, democratic enough to probably not focus on one candidate, or democratic enough to decide that they will deny their own and award somebody from a different region.
I don't know where you have picked up that
is it not the case?
Script of wisdom, Linda. Because I'm aware that in 2013, the people of Mulembe, if you look at their presidential basket, they significantly voted for Mudavadi. But Mudavadi also made certain mistakes because he took the people of Mulembe in 2007 to Raila Odinga. And they voted for him in massive numbers. Certainly, even if there were some who voted for Kibaki, the 2007 votes went to Raila Odinga through Musalia Mudavadi. But when Musalia Mudavadi decided to drop Odinga, he did not have a moment to sit down with the people of Murembe and tell them that let us go away. This place where we are sitting is no longer good for us. Let us go away. So some remained there in a stupor because he had taken them there. But significantly, they voted for him.
Some are still there as it stands today.
In 2013, the people of Murembe once again significantly voted for Raila Odinga, courtesy of Mudavadi and Wetangula. It is the same as the people of Rift Valley, Kalenjin, voted for Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013-2017, courtesy of Ruto.
DP,
and in 2007, they voted for Raila Odinga, courtesy of the same William Ruto. So I think we need to exercise and take away that gossip.
Well, they still start on this other side. We can only wait to see how they get to switch in this one. It's really indeed
it's going to be
an
a challenge,
interesting one.
As I've already said.
Noted, yes.
Kagushia is right. Mukisa Kitui has been away for a long time. There's a whole voting generation in perhaps it's hundreds of thousands in Western, certainly in Kenya in its millions, which has no idea who Mukisa Kitui is. As a Christian gentleman, once again, I'm reminded of the verse in the Bible where it says, and there came to power a new Pharaoh who did not know Joseph.
All right.
That is the challenge that he has. He may have done very many good things, and he has got 16 short months to tell these people who have never heard of him who he is.
So the elite conversation or the elite card has been challenged, Honorable Kagushia. I come back to you, to respond to that, but importantly also, in as much as he would not declare this, accept this for that matter, some voices have, in a way, thought that, well, he is probably a project of whom we do not know. One, if he's a project with the elite kind of argument, do you suppose he's the kind of person who can be tamed by the people who are puppeteering him in the event that such is the case?
Well, the issue of elite, as has been explained by both the gentlemen about all of us who have influence over others being elites. Really, that is an elite by definition. But I refer not to the elite by definition, but the elite by the perception. And politicians in Kenya, when they are referred to as elitist, it is a negative connotation to mean that they look disentangled, they look not in touch with the reality, they don't look in touch with the people. So really, I put the issue of elitist through that connotation, where it is something that majority or most of the Kenyans will not want to associate with a person whom they feel that they do not have touch with them. So that is basically the kind of an elitist I'm talking about, but not the dictionary elitist. If you look at this gentleman, Mukisa Kitui, and look at the kind of a record and the kind of perception that is sold about his capabilities and his abilities. I want to compare him to Kivutha Kibwana, who is a local person, so to say. Now Mukisa Kitui is an international brand, and that should really be a good thing for a country. I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to vilify Mukisa Kitui just for the purposes of having been at that international platform. Really, that should be a positive thing for us as a country. But if you compare him to Kivutha Kibwana, professor, who has been at the local scene and who seems to kind of enjoy the same perception that Mukisa Kitui would be enjoying. But him looks also to be a little bit more in touch with the ground, looks to be more in touch with the reality of what happens and what is happening currently in our country. A person who also looks and seems to be streetwise as much as he is a senior, or probably by definition. If I was to pick a project, then I would probably be picking Kivutha Kibwana as a project rather than Mukisa Kitui as a project.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to compare the two gentlemen because you need to get a project that can also easily sail through, you know, and a project that can easily be sold.
Yeah.
And I like the way Dr. Barak has put it, that we have 16 short months. Try and sell this project to Kenyans who may not have an idea of who Mukisa Kitui is at all. And that's the reality that we find ourselves in. And also looking at the way our politics are framed and the way they have been set so far on regionalism, he doesn't seem to, of course at the moment, to enjoy that regional backing.
Okay.
And I wonder if the other regional kingpins, because they are quite a number from Western Kenya, whether they are going to give him that space.
I think I started by saying, if you would remember, he did not even declare this a while back, but most of the people who are talking about it, go on social media, you find Kenyans trying to endorse him as probably one person who would come. A majority of people used to speak about that. And you know, at some point in time, then I would want to ask, if this decision came along as a result of what you know, he was hearing around and the pressure that was coming from the people, again, would it be a wise move for him to take that card? Was he ready for it, or is it because of the pressure? You know, sometimes the pressure can really get you thinking, so they think I am good, so why not?
Actually, I think more Kenyans have endorsed Kivutha Kibwana, Professor Kivutha Kibwana, online and in social media and in those pressure.
I think they have been endorsed in equal measures, or so to speak. Gentlemen.
Yeah, there has been that kind of endorsement. I agree, but I was just trying to say, comparing with
Kivutha Kibwana,
I think there has been much more endorsement about him. And I've seen more people saying, if it is Professor Kivutha Kibwana, then we are going to probably be electing him. So, but again, I think it's very, very important for you to take the public endorsements with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
I personally get a lot of endorsements for a certain political position every other day. I get even delegations. Sometimes I am even asked if I could even go for the governor. They say, no.
There you go.
Why don't you go for this? I get that every other day. And should I now rush to taking a position of whatever nature because I'm getting pressure from people, or because they have come in huge numbers to ask me to do so? I think that should be a judgment of every other political leader to make.
Okay, well, let's close this one, gentlemen. Is Kivutha Kibwana going to be a spoiler, or who is going to be a spoiler for who in this scenario? In as much as we say it's a democratic space, and you know, in most cases we cannot fail to speak of, okay, well, this is going to be an undoing for this person, or this is going to work out well. If they come in together as a, you know, as a team, makes it even better.
Linda, if you remember the U.S. elections, there are other candidates that I'm sure you don't remember their name by now.
Yes.
But there are two gentlemen that you'll forever remember their names, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because of how visible and focused they were in that campaign.
Yeah.
Even in Kenya, as we approach 2022, there'll be so many newcomers, there'll be so many people, but at the end of the day, there'll be two gentlemen, or a man and a lady, or two women that we shall be focusing on at that time. Mukisa Kitui says he is not in the forest, and that's why he can see the better view of the canopy. But sometimes you must be in the forest so that you see the underroots, what is happening there, the rotting in the roots, the unwatered plants. That's what you need to do. So sometimes being outside the forest for long can also cost you. But we went to see. When he goes to his village, where Barak Senior and team comes from, Emmanuel and the rest of the villages, we'd want to see the reception he will get. Okay. Because Kenya, we also know that the tribal mobilization, the tribal endorsements, the political, we are regionally and ethnically mobilized to vote for our own. That is what will determine a lot of things. Already, as Barak says, he is now being called a spoiler. But I don't think there's any problem with the public endorsements. Public endorsements are a way of telling you that, look, we have viewed you, but we think as a people that you deserve this. Can you give it a try? There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah.
The only problem is when you go there blindly, not knowing what you're getting into. Mukisa Kitui is not just an ordinary Kenyan politician. He has got international experience. He has got, remember the first term of President Kibaki, where the economy performed so well? He was one of the ministers there. So give it to him. He has got some credibility. Now, what we wait to see, even with Kivuta Kibwana, who has served as a governor, people, the civil society have been telling him, you're the next president. But wait a minute. Are there other obstacles beyond just what people are looking at? There are many. What I would want to say as a voter and a Kenyan is goes back to what I was saying. How do we elect our MCAs, member of parliament, senator, governor, and the rest? We elect them by what they promise to do and by their track record. Mm-hmm. That is what Kenyans want to see. So that there is an experience, then there is what you convince us about, then there's you on the personal integrity and the suitability and capability of your own. That is the requirement in law to elect a public officer. We want to put these guys on the scale when the right time comes. When you put them on the scale, the first scale will be look at their profile, what they've done. The next scale will be subject them to a debate or a public engagement. The last scale will be provoke them a bit to see how they react, because we have seen people who speak good English talk so well, but the worst people, we have experienced them even from our political parties, where they speak so good English, you think they're the panacea of all the problems, but then when given opportunity, they're the worst than the devil. So what we are saying today, any candidate, particularly those who want to lead this country at the top, they must also learn from the people who have been in that seat before. Mm-hmm. Don't be pushed, be convinced, but above all, ensure that you have what it takes, and not only what it takes for you, but what it takes for the people of Kenya to put you in that seat, because that's what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. All right, as communications advisors, we get to close this one. In most cases, the communication strategy is...
I just pointed out an observation.
Okay.
I don't want to introduce a new issue, but it's interesting the way Fred Kamo talks and the way he refers to some people who speak good English, even in their political party. I'm afraid Fred has, the Third Way Alliance party has been swallowed by other bigger political parties. And
not at all.
It doesn't seem to
we have to, your supporters have to be worried. It's probably,
dates.
But I don't think English is our supporter.
They to write well. I hosted them here in Nyeri, and they seem to be a very good team that was working together. I don't know what happened, but your guess can always be as good as mine.
Is the face out? Is the face? No. Is it because the face?
I think what Speaker Kibusha is saying might not be true, because Speaker is not a member of Third Way. Speaker is a member of Jubilee, and I would want to encourage him to come to Third Way Alliance, because his ideas are more or less like those of Third Way. You leave Jubilee because you have problems. Come to a new house. I welcome you. But I can't assure you, Speaker,
that you have read Jubilee.
No. That's not true. That's not true. The truth of the matter is, as a party, we believe in certain ideas, and we have to pursue those ideas. The ideal of ensuring that this country has got resources to the bottom, to the lowest unit of devolved fund. We believe in that. We believe that we must respect the rule of round devolution, and we are protecting it. We also believe in young people getting involved in politics. That's why some of us are here. Okay. So Speaker Kibusha, don't worry. Everything is under control. And if they chenga you, I can give you a ticket.
All right. What?
The Okamo I have debated with today is different from the Okamo I have always debated with.
Well, all right. So that's an interesting one. And like you rightfully put it, probably a subject for another day. Coming in of strong contenders like we see today, that is on the race to presidency, that is 2022. What should it speak to the already, existing contenders, or better say the people who've already declared their interest, and to some of them who are dilly-dallying, they're not telling us whether they're going to be there or not, but their actions sort of show us that they're going to be there.
Yeah, and as I get there to correct the speaker, Third Way Alliance and Okango have not been swallowed.
Yeah.
Third Way Alliance is in the process of trying to swallow Jubilee.
Oh, okay, all right.
they're the ones,
this is a strong one coming in, so the others should be worried.
They're the ones trying to swallow them, so give them time.
Okay.
In the fullness of time, they might very well
surprise us.
Thank you,
swallow them. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Now, Mkisa Kitui, when I watched him last evening, was calling for a sober campaign environment, and he's going to attempt to put issues on the table.
Yeah.
Whether the Kenyan political space can listen to issues or not is going to be the next question. That he either has the opportunity now to be the disruptor who helps to get us back to a focused campaign,
Yeah.
or conversely to be swallowed
Okay.
by that space and to become one more of them. Because there are certain environments which you get into hoping and expecting that you can bring change, but instead they swallow you and they distort you. The first thing that he's going to have to reckon with, and you can put this down because it's going to be a point of reference in a very short while to come. The first thing he's going to have to reckon with are hired goons.
Okay.
In his own backyard. When he gets there attempting a triumphal entry like the one he attempted in Nairobi, he was lucky. He met empty streets. And he was waving more or less at cars and at buildings and
And the
trees.
few who knew that he's coming, okay.
In Bungoma, he's going to find hostile, hired goons who will meet him with placards telling him you are a spoiler.
Okay.
Because he's trying to play some people off their altar. And wherever he goes in Western, he should be prepared. And I hope that as a political operative of he is prepared to deal with them. When you have lived in the West for a long time, your perception of things at home tends to get a little distorted. You start seeing things through those prisms, which are fairly orderly prisms, and you expect that the same sense of order will be here. Hence, when he came back yesterday, it never occurred to him that if he did not rent a crowd to meet him, like other people who have made triumphal entries have done, Ken Matiba, Raila Odinga, and others,
Right.
that there will be nobody to meet you and you will be waving at trees. Unfortunately, when he goes to Western, they may not even give him the comfort of waving at trees and at buildings.
Oh.
They will cause fracas.
Yes.
But within those fracas will be his opportunity to start rising to public visibility.
Yes.
And it's going to depend on how he manages it. Otherwise,
And probably initiation to streets, that street aspect that Kabusha speaks about.
Speak about.
Allow me to cut you short briefly, Daktari, and cross over to different conversation altogether. Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji is dead. That is one message that we received this morning. Haji, who most recently chaired the Building Bridges Initiative task force, has been sick for a while, flown to Turkey for treatment last year, returned back to the country, and he passed on at the Aga Khan Hospital this morning. And briefly, we want to talk to the Speaker of Senate, or Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka, who joins us now via Skype, so that we can get his view, first of all, on what it is that this would mean on phone call. All right. And if you can hear me, Honorable Speaker, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for finding time to speak to us this morning.
Thank you so much.
As I allow you to condole with the family and friends of the senator, what then does this mean? What way forward? First of all, what was the relationship like for you and the senator that is in Senate? And also, what does it speak about now the progress of the BBI?
First of all, let me take this opportunity on my own behalf and my family and the Senate to convey my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and relatives of the late Mohammed Yusuf Haji, who until his death this morning has been the senator representing Garissa. I remember Senator Yusuf Haji as a very sober debater and elder, and who brought a lot of sobriety in the House. Anytime we had very contentious issues, we would always revert to Senator Mohammed Yusuf Haji to bring sanity in the house. We are going to miss his contribution definitely as an elder in that house. And I also remember him so well, even during his days as the provincial commissioner, having also served in the provincial administration as a district commissioner, as a very firm, soft-spoken but very firm administrator. Even in the Senate, he was very, very soft-spoken but very firm. He's somebody you will not just sway because of what is going on. And I remember him fondly during the formula discussions in the Senate where the House was so much divided. He's one of those who I used to consult very closely as the Speaker to try and bring sanity in the House. Of course, we also remember him for chairing the BBI, and we know that the BBI is now on course. That is something that he leaves behind as a country, because, you know, the country was so much divided, and we, for the president, His Excellency the President, and the former Prime Minister, having picked him as to chair that BBI was a vote of confidence in him, because through him, then we were able to get a document that is now being discussed, and a document that will be coming to the Senate. It's unfortunate that the document will come in his absence, but we thank him for chairing that particular committee and for the views that they collected from all over the country. So as we mourn him, we will remember him for many, many, many things. Some of us have served with him closely these tour of service in this country.
So much, Senate Speaker. We hope to engage you some more on this. It is a developing story, and even as we get details and more people coming to condole with the family, we'll be engaging the leaders as we also update you on the way forward. We'll also be having more leaders joining us this morning to equally condole with the family. We're looking to get a hold of Adam Zulo, who also worked with the senator, or in capacity, or in his capacity as co-chair of the BBI, so that we also get to hear then what this would mean to, of course, this incredible or very instrumental process of the BBI. But coming back to you, gentlemen, as we close on this one, I'd love for you to, briefly tell us what way forward for the national, that is the party, the ruling party, or so to speak, Jubilee. Seems like, things are irreparable, so to speak.
I think I go first.
Yes.
I think Jubilee.
Maybe reason enough why Kagusha should cross over to this side.
I told him, and I'm sure he will do that. And that's why we are swallowing them.
Yes.
As the senior said. I think Jubilee has reached a point where the challenges are so many. And I keep saying that one of the things that Kenyans should dread most is when a ruling party is divided right into the two, and two leaders are pulling in opposite directions.
Right.
It tells the public that even implementation of the manifesto upon which they were elected on is an impossibility. And therefore, it calls for a sober situation for the people to understand exactly how they are going to arrive at the level where they will be, the government will deliver what they were promised. Lastly, I want to say, political parties must remain institutions. They must remain institutions, whether with the exit of Okango, they remain. With the exit of Barack Muluka, they remain. With the exit of Speaker Kagusha, they remain. Because those institutions attract people through their ideologies. And I pray that Jubilee as a party to remain as an institution, even though the leadership have challenges. But nothing stops the leadership from also reconciling and having a way forward. Because this is not just any other political party. This is a political party that is the ruling party. Kenyans in the next 17 months will be looking at what else have they not delivered that they promised us. What else are they delivering that they promised? And what else are they going to do to better the lives of Kenyans? Because they are the ruling party today. The push and pull in this party has also been aired in the public. The dirty linen have been washed in public. People have threatened the other. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Politics also demands that when such things happen, you take the next move. I want to believe President Kenyatta has a move. The Deputy President has a move. Those moves, whatever they are, must be for the benefit of the people of Kenya.
All right. The Deputy President remains, confident that he is loyal to the party leader, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta. On the other hand, he comes out bare knuckles saying that, you know what, if you are part of this government, then you should speak what is about this government. But then again, he equally says, if you feel like the government is not doing well, then step out. At this point, can we even talk reconciliation briefly?
The matter of reconciliation, in my view, is a difficult one.
Yeah.
Because as Okango says, they are already washing the dirty linen in public, which is very unfortunate.
Right.
And it's unfortunate from two vantage points. First, I think because Jubilee itself was fashioned as a special purpose vehicle. That vehicle was to deliver the presidency and to win a majority of the votes in various other electoral positions, and that happened. And then it lost any further usefulness, unfortunately. Because if it had not lost that usefulness, if it had remained an institution, as Fred Okango says, they would just get back to the party and discuss some of these things that they are talking about. If the president wanted his deputy to leave, he would use the party instruments to remove him from the party.
Okay.
And once he's removed from the party, he would cease being
the deputy president.
The deputy president.
Yes.
But he cannot, because the president himself killed that party. When people were telling him, summon organs, convene the organs of the party when it was still one, he did not. And now he cannot even try. Even when he goes to Sagana to call people from his own backyard to a meeting, which meeting tries to pass as a visit to central Kenya, which it is not, because he may very well have just called those people to State House. He can't call all of them. He calls them selectively. But more astounding is why a sitting president is not able to call his deputy, lift the phone and tell him, I want you in State House tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. And the deputy president, I want to believe, will be there. And the president will tell him what is troubling him. But when the president starts coming out in the afternoon and he's looking very unhappy, he's looking as if he has been entertaining himself. And he's still under the management of that which he has been entertaining himself with. It starts becoming very worrying.
Right.
And some of these leaders, when you listen to them, you can see that they do not even respect the public.
Right.
When you want to come to speak to the public, you must first of all begin by checking yourself and asking yourself, am I ready in this comportment? Am I ready in this temperament to go out to speak to the public?
All right.
But it is a sign of the frustration and therefore of the difficulty that any reconciliation would come up
out of
against.
This. Okay. All right, that is also where we're going to stop it at, but I'm sure Kagusha would not allow me to do so without speaking to him or without allowing him say something about this. So in 30 seconds, because you're a Jubilee, party member.
Yes, of course, not again. Now, on the issue of Jubilee Party, I am personally embarrassed about what the party is portraying to the rest of Kenyans. First, by the disagreement at the very top, that is very embarrassing on its own. Again, also by impunity. We have a lot of impunity in the political party headed by the SG Tuju, Raphael Tuju.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassed last week when there was this fraudulent removal of the Speaker of Nyandarua County, which as far as I'm concerned, it's illegal and doesn't hold. That the political party wishes the speaker is removed, but the political party is unable to convince its MCAs to remove the speaker. and the speaker is supposed to be removed by 30 MCAs, the political party cannot raise 30 members of county assembly. And this has gone on for 2 months. They cannot raise that number. And so what happens? 30 minutes before the third impeachment process takes off, the political party suspends ostensibly the members of county assembly from Nairobi,
right,
and commands that they're not going to take a vote in the county assembly in Nyandarua. And that is how Tuju doing that, and passes that letter secretly to some of them on social media. I don't think that is my political party. Extremely embarrassing, impunity, and disregard the rule of law. I think we need to rethink how we are conducting this party. Raphael Tuju himself need to step down, resign as a Secretary General, and have a person who can obey the law and who can follow the due process of the law. The political party does have its its constitution. We don't ask much when we ask. Let's follow that constitution. So I'm embarrassed, to say the least.
All right. Well, another conversation. I mean, this conversation for another day. I'm sure it's something that we'd love to talk about some more, especially on that aspect of the party's Secretary General. Lots of questions arising in regards to his leadership or his way or his style of addressing issues. Fred Okango would have been in a better position to tell us just how powerful as a party, Secretary General they are, and so to speak. But we leave it at that as we look forward to another day where we can talk about that. John Kagushia, Speaker in Nyeri County, it was good having you. Dr. Barak Muluka, Communications Advisor, it was good having you this morning. And lastly, Secretary General Third Way Alliance, Fred Okango, thank you so much for that. We cross over to a different conversation altogether, even as we give you updates on what hits the editorial desk.